Welcome.
It's time for the further adventures of Indiana Jones.
The greatest adventures of all time.
I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
Pack your bag, grab your passport, and prepare to go globetrotting with Marvel Comics' classic four-color adventures of Indiana Jones.
Jones? Jones!
Mr. Jones, I've heard a lot about you, sir. Your appearance is exactly the way I imagined.
Son of a...
I'm here now. What do you want to talk about?
Wakanda Matuso! Nobata!
Get it up!
Is that a great opening to a movie or what?
It sure is. One of my favorites.
That is one of the best. Hey, further fans, IndieCast listeners, I'm Joe Stuber.
Mr. Stuber, I've heard a lot about you, sir. Your appearance is exactly the way I imagined. And I'm Keith Voss. Welcome, further fans, to the Further Adventures.
Oh, Keith, we are bringing back some Raiders favorites in this two-parter. I am really looking forward to this one.
Two of my favorite supporting characters. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about issue 15 of Further Adventures of Indiana Jones. But I tell you what, before we get to issue 15, let's revisit our Herb Trimpe interview just for a second. IndieCast listeners, if you've heard the interview and also if you've heard the David Michelinie interview, you know what we're getting to here. We talked about this mysterious pinup, Keith, that was supposed to be in issue 17, but when you open the book, halfway in, we see a 2-page letters page. Mm-hmm. No pinup, Indian Marion at an air show. We weren't sure what happened to that. And Herb Trimpe had told us that he had sent that to Elliot Brown. We contacted Elliot Brown, and guess what?
It was on his living room wall.
Yeah, he had it framed. He had it framed. We've uncovered yet another amazing archaeological find in the world of Indiana Jones.
A unique piece that has been seen by
just
only a few.
Yeah, just
only a few. And we bring it to you, further fans, all you IndieCast listeners. Make sure you are on our Facebook page because you are going to be seeing unique pieces of artwork that nobody has seen before. Nobody even knew existed. We had no idea this was out there, and we have uncovered it. So go visit our Facebook page.
Check out the Flickr page. Yep, check out the Flickr page too.
It's there.
We're going to have that up there.
It is an amazing piece of artwork.
But a great backstory too by Elliot Brown. We've got that on the Facebook page as well. But Elliot kind of gives us the background of this, and even all it's really touching too because he mentions that Jim Shooter had vetoed this pinup. It didn't go in the book, and Elliot said he apologized to Herb Trimpe. He sent it back to him. He felt really bad, and Herb made sure he sent it to him. And you'll notice there's a nice little note from Herb Trimpe to Elliot Brown on there too, it's pretty cool. A very personal, prized possession of Elliot Brown's, and he shared that with us. We're sharing it with you, IndieCast listeners. It's a great piece. I love it. I'm just looking at it right now.
I'm looking at it now too.
Hey, Herb liked to draw planes. We know that.
Yep. And you know what? It seems like it definitely fits. Like you could see Indian Marion being at an air show. And, even the little bit of dialogue they talk about, they say Harry's the name in there, but we know who he means. He means Jock.
Yeah.
And Marion mentions
pet snake. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's just a great little piece. Well done. And again, thank you very much to Elliot Brown and Herb Trimpe for putting this piece together and getting it out there and sharing it with us. Thank you very much.
And Indy's hungry in that one too. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, he's eating a hot dog.
Is that very cool? There's so much detail in this. It's like, there's so many cool little details in it. So yeah, check it out. Really good stuff, and thanks again. We mentioned some Raiders favorites. You mentioned Jock. He's going to be in this issue. So Keith, let's get into issue 15. Who are the masterminds behind this adventure?
Let's do it. We got the Sea Butchers, Chapter 1, Island of Peril. Cover date, March 1984. Cover, Herb Trimpe. Script, David Michelinie. Pencils, Herb Trimpe. Inks by Vince Colletta. Colors by Robbie Carosella. Letters by Joe Rosen.
Yep, and we've got a very cool cover. We talked about this in the Herb Trimpe interview. I kind of like when the cover represents actual scenes in the book. I mean, people are divided over this, but it's a very action-packed cover.
I agree. I think it's a very busy cover. I agree with you when you say that the cover should match the action in the book. I also think that the characters should match the characters in the book.
Well,
unfortunately, I take a little bit of
not Trimpe's fault.
Of issue. It's not Trimpe's fault. I take a little bit of issue with the colorist here. I think that the guy standing next to Indy is Katanga, and he's colored all wrong.
Yeah, I mean, he's got
like
the
Katanga sweater and the hat.
He's got the cap on.
Right. So while I think this is a great cover, I mean, if you're not looking at it completely detail-wise saying, oh, that's Katanga, it's a great cover, but that's just something I tend to notice often when I look at this cover. I say, oh, that's Katanga. Takes me out of it just a little bit. Besides that, amazing action-packed cover. We got the crates about to fall down. I got Indy in an amazing pose here with the whip behind him. Very, very action-packed, very cool cover.
Yeah, you wonder how Indy and Katanga got themselves into this mess because there's something going on. Because, yeah, well, you know what? Let's get into the storyline of the issue itself and see how they got themselves into this mess. Go check out the issue or read along with us. But, yeah, we're going to tell you everything that happens in the issue. And as we start off, again, Herb loves to draw planes. We know that. David Michelini said it. Apparently Jim Shooter said it about Pinup. Herb even told us. He says, I like to draw planes. So we've got a great splash page there. Hey, who draws planes better than Herb Trimpe?
I don't think anybody draws planes better than Herb Trimpe. And you know what? I'm glad he was on this book because we get one of my favorite pilots, Jock Lindsey.
The Return of Jock.
The Return of Jock. But I have to say, there's a dogfight going on over the Aleutian Islands. Okay, that's the information we're given. That's over the northern Pacific Ocean. Now, don't forget, last issue, Indy mentioned that he had a plane to catch going to Alaska. Perhaps this is the mission he was referring to. Yeah,
a good tie-in to last issue as well too, and a rare appearance by Jock, really, when you think about it, because
that's true.
Yeah, other than this Raiders, this book, we've got Tomb of the Gods. From Dark Horse, maybe a couple mentions in some video games, but that's really about it.
Yeah, we don't get too much of Jock, unfortunately. I mean, like I said, I would have liked to see more of him, but...
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, you think about the backstory of Jock a little bit, too. Just a little partial trivia segment here, too. When you think about it, he was originally supposed to be British, correct?
That's right. The screenplay had him as being British, and then the novel had him as Scottish. So, I mean, you hear the name Jock, and it sounds very Scottish. But in the movie, played by Fred Sorensen, of course, he turns out to be American. Yep. But the one thing we don't get is Reggie.
No Reggie. Well, look, do you think Indy's going to allow Reggie in the seat after Raiders? Come on.
Well, especially when he's taking pictures. He's taking these aerial pictures. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine how Indy would react? I mean, you saw how he reacted in the movie. Like, you imagine him trying to take pictures with a snake crawling on him. None of those pictures would come out.
No, Reggie
right
stayed at home
all.
On this adventure.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good call.
And different call letters on the plane, too. We don't have OBCPO.
That's right. OBCPO, but this time we have GCFO. I wonder if that means anything.
Beats me. I don't know. But like you mentioned, Indy's taken some recon photos, and GCFD has taken some flack.
Yeah, it sure is. We have a Japanese plane that's taken some shots at Jock and Indy, and you can see in the distance too. In those first few panels, there's a Japanese warship there, and they apparently don't like foreigners in their airspace. So they sent this plane to protect the Japanese cruiser, and also it seems that there's some temple down below that's holding Indy's interest. He's taking a couple of aerial photographs, and if you remember in our interview with Herb Trimpe too, he says he liked to draw all these aerial shots. So again, falls right into his category here.
Yeah, it looks really good. And Indy wants to get a closer look. And it's funny, a nice little Raiders callback here moment too, where he wants to get in and a little closer, and Jock's like, yeah, he's not too sure about it. And Indy tells him, come on, show a little backbone.
Yeah, it was a nice little callback for sure.
Yeah.
But what about that camera though? That
well, we did get a little background story on that. Herb, he cheated a little bit on that one. So, and he was, as he was looking at this, he mentioned it's a little modern. It's got the telephoto lens on it.
It's Indiana Jones, man. He's like James Bond. He should have a more advanced camera here, I think.
Yeah, that one's pretty much from the 1980s.
Yeah, that's true. But Joe, actually, this isn't the first time Indy's had to take photos from a plane. He's experienced at this.
That's true.
If the listeners remember, if you're a young Indiana Jones fan like we are, Attack of the Hawkmen showed Indy as a young man taking aerial photographs with the Lafayette Escadrille.
Yep. So, different camera, though, I think.
Way different camera. But I think Indy has a little experience here. Yeah, we'll give Herb Trimpe a pass on this since he allowed Indy to keep his fedora.
He did. Yeah, that was cool stuff.
We'll give him a pass on this one.
Yep, and he's got a great Harrison Ford. I mean, that really looks like Harrison Ford.
It's a great likeness. It's a great likeness.
Job. So Jock and Indy go in for a closer look. And then Indy persuades Jock. As you mentioned, they're being chased by this other plane, and Indy persuades Jock into performing some aerial acrobatics. And,
that's right.
Yeah, and another nice little Raiders callback. Trust me.
You know what this actually reminded me of just a little bit is Return of the Jedi. Lando Calrissian saying, "Get closer to the ships. The closer you get, the Death Star's not going to shoot at us. They're not going to try to kill their own guys." That's the same kind of idea that they had here. So that was just something that popped in my mind. I thought that was kind of a cool callback.
Yeah, and so we've got this great dogfight going on. They move in, and Indy gets Indy's always resourceful. He always uses what's available, and he gets this kind of cool idea of grabbing this rusty anchor. That's in the back.
I guess. I mean, I'm assuming that they use these anchors to keep these boats down whenever they landed.
Yeah,
in the
these
water.
pontoon planes that could go in. Yeah. So because you think about it, when in Raiders, Jock's fishing there, so you would have to have something to anchor. So that was my first thought. I was like, where to get an anchor? But that makes sense. So no snake, but he does have a weapon that he can use, and uses it to pretty cool advantage here.
Yeah, pretty cool action scene, I have to say, we get too.
I mean, great. Doesn't this totally fit in with the world of Indiana Jones?
Absolutely.
I know there's a gripe about the planes from shooters aspect, or maybe Nicolini's, but
with that, I totally disagree with that. I love I've loved Jock's look here. He's not wearing the Yankees hat. He's wearing his his air goggles and his flight cap and a scarf. He really looks ready for action here. So I really, really love this scene. I mean, it's kind of a dream. Whenever you see Indiana Jones in a plane in a dogfight, I love the plane scene in Last Crusade. I thought that was great. This really reminded me a lot of that as well. Yeah. So very, very well done. And again, Indy drops that anchor, or that it looks kind of like a grappling hook anchor combination.
Yeah, kind of uses it as that.
Yeah, he uses it. Yeah, so it just rips the wings off that Japanese plane. And Indy just says, "Sayonara, suckers," and they're going down in a heap of glory.
Yeah, and our first bad guy, as we're looking down here, is introduced, and he's not too happy that they just lost a plane.
Yeah, Commander Kyoji Hiroto.
Yep. But we're just introduced to him quickly because, as you know, in the world of Indiana Jones, we've got to get back to Marshall College.
That's right. I could just hear the music now, Joe.
Yes, I can, Keith.
And we get, of course, some overhead establishing shots by Trimpe, which it's perfect. Fits right into the world of Indiana Jones, and it's nice to be back in Marcus's office. And so they're taking a look at those photographs that Indy took, and it turns out that they're looking at this temple, and it could be some statues that are of interest to them. Cheng Hua, patron god of ancient Chinese mariners. And if that's the case, it could mean that Chinese seafarers ranged much farther east than is generally believed, and that could prove their theory, which is
that Eskimo culture was brought to North America by primitive seafarers rather than nomads over the Bering Strait.
So that's a pretty big moment there.
Yeah, some expositional dialogue. It always sets up our Indiana Jones adventure, but
exactly.
This could radically change some thinking there. So they see the statue out in front of the temple. It matches. They're trying to match this up with the statue of Cheng Hua found on the Chinese mainland to the statue, as we mentioned in the pictures at the temple, but they need to get a closer look. That's what Indy was trying to do in the plane. He was trying to get as close as he could with these pictures, but they want to make sure. Yeah, they want to make sure they get there on site to find. Well, you got to get the adventure. You got to get. It's Indiana Jones. It's a temple. Come on, do the math.
Exactly.
We got to get them there. So, and we need a ship.
Need a ship large enough to transport sizable artifacts. And I love how Indy says, with a captain who won't ask questions. And they know that they're what they're doing is a little, shady, I guess you could say.
He's always walking that line.
Indy knows exactly who to hire.
Yep, and he heads to... At the Panama City jail, he finds exactly who he's looking for. Captain Simon Katanga.
They're playing. They're rolling those dice. They're playing craps in jail, and and there he is, Simon Katanga.
Oh, but we do get a brief little callback reference to this mysterious telegram that Marion received.
Oh, that's right.
Recently. He doesn't. What's funny about as Indy's heading into the jail, he's like thinking about it. Hey, I wonder what this mysterious telegram. He's like, heck with her. I got more important things to do.
Yeah,
he's dismissive.
He's very dismissive. But you know what? That kind of didn't. Maybe the wording bothered me a little bit. The heck with her. But I do see Indy. I mean, think it belongs in a museum. Indy. He's focused right now.
She does dump him at some point.
He's got a job to do.
She does dump him, and they don't see each other until Crystal Skull. So
yeah, exactly.
Come on, you dump him too if he's obviously. So it kind of fits in with that.
Well, but they do see each other before Crystal Skull in the series. They do see each other again. Don't forget what we got coming up. But
to establish this character as somebody who is more concerned with
flaky?
with the archaeology aspects more than the relationship aspects.
Yeah.
So it's fitting that she eventually gets tired enough of this, and she's just like, she walks. So.
And like I said, I think it's fitting that Indy's like, the heck with it. Hey, look, he's in Panama right now. That's the furthest thing from his mind. He's focused. He's gotta get Katanga out of jail.
Why is Katanga in jail?
Well, there was a little there's a little problem with some misplaced papers regarding a shipment of rum that he was transporting.
Misplaced
papers
as in none?
Such as a bill of sale. Yeah. So I mean, what we get in Raiders of the Lost Ark with Katanga, we know that he's a little bit of a shady guy. He's Salah's friend. But you get the feeling, even in the movie, even Marion said it. She's like, "I'm sure I'm not the first woman that traveled with his band of pirates." I mean, he's a smuggler. He is a smuggler. He's like the Han Solo of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, that's what I love about this universe is you just got all these characters that have so many layers to them. So pretty cool stuff.
Exactly. So Indy's prepared to go bail for him and his crew if he'll hire the Bantu Wind out to him when he's free. And Katanga's a little skeptical here. He's like, look, I'm going to be getting a lot of money for that rum once I get out of here. So whatever you're after has to be worth an ocean full of rum. And hopefully his men will get set up as well. Now, Indy piques his interest, but he's weary of sharing quarters with Rodin, so he says, yeah, fine, you got a deal. Let's do it. Indy then goes to pay the bail.
Well, and they talk about all this stuff that they're going to find. I mean, that's why Katanga's interested. Yeah, because he's like, hey, I'm going to make some money on this. But yeah, somebody else is listening.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, where else are they going to say that? They're not going to let Katanga into the visitors' quarters. You know what I mean? Like, This is a Panama City jail, so they have to talk about everything in the open. And unfortunately, there's somebody there that overhears all of this. Somebody that's going to come back and bite them in the rear later on in the story.
Yep, he looks a little shady. He's got the
he's got a handlebar mustache. Say nothing. That's
a villain.
That's a villain. That's a villain.
But before we get there, we get Katanga and his men bailed out of jail. We're down on the docks. We're heading over to the Bantu Wind. And did Michelini just sabotage your theory as to how Indy and Marion got off the island in Raiders?
Yes. Okay. You and I have talked about this many times off the air. Now, even as recently as last episode, Mitch was talking to Brian O'Halloran about how did Indy and Marion get the Ark off that island.
Right. I liked your theory. I thought it was solid.
Now, for me, it was always a very simple one, okay? Katanga followed them on the Bantu Wind. He picked them up afterwards, transported everything back to wherever they were going, to England.
Makes sense.
Whatever. So, unfortunately, in Raiders continuity, makes sense, doesn't it? He left his fedora on the Bantu Wind. Boom, he has it back at the end of the movie. In Raiders continuity, my theory makes sense. In Further Adventures continuity, it has, as many holes as Swiss cheese now, unfortunately.
Michelini.
Michelini as usual.
Yeah, they're sitting there talking. He said, and Katanga says, "Our mutual friend Sala told me you had escaped your Nazi captors, Indy. I was glad."
No gladder than he was.
Yeah, so apparently in this universe, Katanga didn't see Indy after he jumped off the Bantu Wind.
We still don't know then, according to Further Adventures canon. But like I said, my idea, Katanga, Bantu Wind, followed them all the way, got there just as everything ended, brought them back home. But
no time for reminiscing. We got to fight on the dock.
Yeah, we do have a fight on the dock. And this is where we get our cover. This is where we get our cover. And if you noticed, I like it too. It's good. It's a good action scene. Like I said, what I mentioned before, the colorist got it wrong. If you look at where Katanga is standing, he's standing right next to Indy. That should be Katanga on the cover.
Yep.
You know, that's for me. That's a pretty big mistake.
Yeah, it's a little off.
I agree.
But regardless, we got this great fight going on. Indy and Katanga and his men are surrounded by these guys that come out of nowhere. We've got that big net that's above them, full of crates that gets dropped. It's smashed. So that our cover comes to life here. Indy's throwing haymakers, Katanga's kicking, and everything. I mean, this is just
it's great to see Katanga in action, though, isn't it? Like in the movie, we saw
we don't get much.
Right. I mean, we knew he was a dangerous guy. Yeah. I mean,
but it was all reactionary in Raiders.
All reactionary. I mean, we get a sense that Katanga is a pretty nasty dude. The way he tells off Dietrich, you know, he's not giving him an inch. He's not ready to back off. So it's nice to see that he's not just all talk. Right. It's nice to see that he can also back it up.
But what's cool, I mean, in Raiders, you've got an entire, boat full of Nazis coming in with machine guns and everything. Here you got a dock full of workers with clubs, and so he's got a little bit more leeway here to throw down.
That's right.
So they do. This huge dogfight breaks out. Indy gets separated away. He gets cut off. He realizes, as usual, he's got to fend for himself at this point. So again, pretty cool action scenes. Indy jumps up on this rope, takes a few guys out, kicks them, and he's able to clear a path where he takes off and jumps on a truck. Where have we seen that before? He jumps away on a speeding truck.
That looks very familiar. Yeah,
awfully familiar. But again, a nice, cool Raiders callback. Climbs to the top of the truck, jumps up on a balcony, and a very peculiar moment here. He jumps into this room at the top of this building. What do we got here, Keith? I don't know what's going on.
You know what we got here. It's a bordello. I mean, come on, let's be honest. It's a bordello. I mean, and as soon as they see
a gringo,
a gringo,
you know what that
they
means?
think he has lots of money.
Indy,
I love how Indy tips his hat, though. Yes. Indy tips his hat and he runs out of here. Hilarious. And he's a little rushed right now, but he said maybe next time. Maybe next time.
It's such a great little comedic moment in the middle of this battle, and then you've got this great comedic moment. Yeah, I'd love to see some of these adventures played out in an Indiana Jones film. This is so cool. This would be great. And you could just see Harrison Ford kind of doing that. But
yeah, that classic Harrison Ford smile.
Yeah.
As he walks in and then tips the hat and runs
fedora,
out of it.
Yeah. So he runs out the door. Yeah, they followed him. The bad guys have tracked him down. They saw him jump on the truck and up into this room here. What was great was Herb mentioned in the interview was that we talked about these fight scenes, and he said, I love to knock the character around. He's like, what are you going to do with him? It's Indiana Jones.
Well, yeah, and he really does it in this scene.
Yeah, he really does.
Think about Temple of Doom, how knocked around he gets in that movie. And even in Raiders, the whole, it all comes together on the Bantu Wind. He gets knocked, he gets shot and, punched and dragged. And so they're doing the same thing here. He's jumping through windows. He's jumping off balconies. We get another callback. Another flagpole.
Yep.
Another flagpole, but this one he misses.
He misses, he grabs the flag. He's able to swing down into this cart of melons. Smashes this.
Mis cantalupos.
Messy but soft. But he's still not out of the woods. The chase still continues. He runs into a restaurant. He's trying to lose him. He ends up in the kitchen of this restaurant. And, another Raiders callback. They got the frying pan under the noggin.
Yep, frying pan on the noggin. Yeah. And we get a really good fight scene here where the guy's really trying to get to push Indy's head into this soup or something, whatever that is. It's
some
just
boiling
liquid.
Yeah, and he's got Indy's head about ready to go right into this.
You really sense the tension in this scene.
Yeah,
he's really struggling. He does.
It's a great battle.
It is a great battle. But Indy notices that this guy has put his hand on a burner, and quick thinking Indy as usual. He turns on that gas and
go from the frying pan to the fire, right?
Yes, exactly. This guy gets his hand burned, and look at the way the guy's holding his hand, smoking.
Yep.
Indy has a funny line here. He says, one thing I can't stand, it's a crybaby. So while this guy's grasping his hand in pain, he just knocks this guy right
gut
out.
Punches this guy and takes the other guy out like right behind him, which is kind of cool.
Indy is very resourceful. He uses everything he can at his disposal.
Great fight scenes. Indy runs out the back door. He ends up into this alleyway. Kind of reminds me a little of the Cairo chase.
Yes.
As you go down these alleyways. But again, there's just too many bad guys at this point. They confront Indy.
And Indy's starting to get tired. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean he's been through a lot.
Yeah. He's starting to get tired.
So how's he going to get out of this one?
That's true. He comes to a point where, there's more of these guys. They have guns. He's as good as dead, right?
Well, we forgot about Katanga.
Yes, we did. Good old Katanga.
Yeah, they went back to the ship and got the guns.
Yeah, they're like, you know what? We're not playing around anymore.
Nope.
Let's go get the guns. And Indy drops, and these guys just open fire and take them all out. Jeez, I mean that's pretty intense.
Yeah, that's a great fight scene. I mean, it's tough sometimes in a comic book world to bring these things to life. It certainly plays out much better live action. But boy, Trimpe, he wanted to knock Indiana Jones around, and boy did he do it. Great fight scene. Well, I think one of the best of the run.
I agree. Because it is like one of the best chase scenes of all time. Again, we mentioned that it's very similar to the Cairo chase. I mean, that is a great chase scene. So you know what? I mean, it's okay that they borrowed from it a little bit because it definitely works. It's different enough so that it stands on its own.
Well, it's the spirit of Raiders too. That's what we like.
That's right.
So.
That's what we want. Exactly.
But so things have calmed down a little bit. Indy and Katanga are talking. They decide. Indy was definitely the target in this, but we're not going to stand around and figure out why. There could be more guys coming. So they got to get to the Bantu Wind. It's days later.
Or as Ed Dallista calls it, the Bantu Wind.
The Bantu. Does he really?
Yes, he does. Well, he said when he was growing up, he always thought it was the Bantu Wind.
Oh, the Bantu Wind. That's right.
Yeah. Sorry, Ed. Yeah.
We're on the Bantu Wind. On the Pacific Ocean.
Now.
Yeah, a little bit of calm time here. Nice little peaceful moment after that crazy chase. But again, in the world of Indiana Jones, things don't stay quiet for too long.
We got Commando Hiroto. He boards the ship.
He boards the ship, and
very much in the like of when the Nazis boarded the Bantu Wind in Raiders.
Yeah.
And we got an interesting piece of dialogue here. Hiroto introduces himself to Katanga, and Hiroto notices Indy right away. He says, "Your companion, he's American, is he not?" And he mentions something really interesting here. He says, "I've been thinking a lot of Americans lately. And some years ago, a religious cult stole priceless relics from a Tokyo museum. But before my government could retrieve them, a bold American adventurer made off with them, escaping by seaplane." So we have a hidden adventure there, it seems, with Jock and Indy stealing some I say stealing in quotes, of course, from these relics from a Tokyo museum. Yeah, liberating. Thank you.
Isn't that the line in Magnum?
Yeah, exactly. We get reference to a Lost Indy adventure here. Very cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. And so, I mean, the commander knows that something's up. He knows that Indy's on this. But, again, I like how Michelini drops these little hidden adventures. And we know Indiana Jones has had a ton of adventures. So, hey, a film series. Man, there's so many little ideas in that. Let's go back and reboot this thing and get some of these hidden adventures.
All the ideas that are sprinkled throughout. I mean, even the fact that we mentioned that Abner could still be alive. Yeah. I mean, imagine where we can go with that. I mean, even, again, a prequel.
Or just an animated Indy adventures. Man,
there's a million ideas out there, folks. A million ideas with Indiana Jones, even just hidden within these books that we can explore.
But Indiana Jones decides to play coy. He's like, I don't really know. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I get sick. I'm scared to death of flying, and I turn green just going up elevators. Yeah, sure you do. Okay. But the commander and his men, they find nothing on the ship. They're going to go, but they're keeping a close eye on the Bantu Wind.
Yeah, I mean, as well as they should. The rest of their journey is uneventful. The island destination is reached later that day, though. The Bantu Wind finally anchors in one of its deep, narrow bays.
This might be my favorite part of the book. I love the chase, But man, I'm telling you what, Keith. What do you think? What a perfect combination of writer and artist.
Well, yeah. Well, look
in this
at
section.
Look at how cool. I mean, this is very old serial-like. All the explorers are getting out of the boat. They're making the way across the log bridge, and then finally, Indy comes out of the foliage, and there's the temple.
Yeah, and I love Michelini's dialogue that he has here too. It says that when they're moving inland, it just echoes the beginning of Raiders when they're going through the jungle, and you could hear the kind of music, you could hear the sound effects and the creatures,
the birds, and
It says as Indiana Jones begins to feel the familiar rush of wonder, the hunger to illuminate dark corners of history that had first drawn him to archaeology over a decade before, the overwhelming narcotic awe of having a dream turn tangible. And then we get the temple. Oh, that's great. Yeah,
it's amazing stuff.
But Michelini and Trimpe really, because you remember Trimpe, or even Elliot said when he posted that pinup for us, he mentioned that he and Herb Trimpe were really gelling on this book. And so we get a nice little run here as we go through these next several issues. I think we get probably the tightest section of run that we have here between Michelini, Elliot Brown editing the book, and Trimpe penciling the book.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I think
totally
we get a really cool. It really evokes the spirit of Raiders.
Yes, I was just gonna say they both just really understood what Raiders was trying to do. What Raiders not trying to do. What Raiders did. Yeah. They understood that, and they captured that in these issues. And it's a shame that they couldn't have done more together. But I'm very thankful for what we got from them.
Yeah, we got a good chunk here of some good issues. So, and as we go through them, but yeah, really good stuff. So they arrive at the temple of Changhua. They go in, they find jade, gold, porcelain. They reference it's quite a haul. Well, that's why they brought the Bantu Wind. They're gonna take all this stuff out. But now we see why Katanga's cellmate was smiling. Mm-hmm. He's working for our main villainess of this particular book. He's working for Emeralda Vasquez.
Emeralda Vasquez, that's right. And she has brought along some interesting-looking characters.
It's quite a lineup.
Look at that one guy with the hook for a hand and stuff like that, and that one short guy, and one guy looks like Fidel Castro. And it's very, very interesting-looking characters here.
And of course, the man in the sombrero. He was in the. Do we ever get a name for him? He's the guy that led them. So. No, we'll just call him Sombrero.
I don't think so. Well, yeah, just call him Sombrero. That fits in with the rest of the Indy universe. We have Panama hat, we have Fedora, and now we have Sombrero.
He's Sombrero. He's the one that led her there. Yeah. And what do you think of Emeralda? I mean, that's great artwork. Stunning.
I actually think she's pretty attractive. I'm all about the gothic look. I'm
well, we established. I think Herb Trimpe invented goth.
That's right. He did invent goth.
At least funny. In this book he did.
We also got the background story of why she's wearing skull earrings. Just because. Well, it would be cool.
It'd be cool, and it'd be cool. Deadly and dastardly and evil.
That's right.
There you go.
And she is set up as the villain for sure.
Yeah,
but I mean, Katanga's got to be like, come on, really? Pirates? I mean, we're pirates. Come on, really? Pirates against pirates?
A lot of pirates.
Yeah,
a lot of pirating going on.
So yeah, going back to Emeralda Vasquez's buddy Sombrero, we could see why he was smiling now. He led her to Jones, and he actually led her to this treasure as well.
Yeah, and Indy doesn't. I mean, he insults Emeralda right off the bat. I mean, look, it's Indiana Jones. You're not gonna mess with him. He calls her a child. She doesn't take too kindly to that.
No,
she holds off and just slaps him right in the face. But was Indy setting this up? Was he trying to get her angry just to distract her so that he could take that lantern?
Yeah,
and
course.
Smash it? We're in the bowels of this temple, and it's dark. There's no light now. So then,
there's plenty of it now.
Yeah. Well, Emeralda just her men just go nuts. They just start shooting the place up. Indy and his men, Katanga, and the men take off.
They hightail it out.
Yeah, they got this gun battle going on. All the bad guys are back there shooting each other. But yeah. Interesting. They got there. Emeralda and her men got there, but how did they follow them?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? And we find out. It looks like they got there with a submarine, American S-class. They must have trailed us using the periscope. One of Katanga's men mentions that. But how did a pirate get a hold of a U.S. Navy sub?
Well, they don't just steal trinkets.
Yeah,
they still sub. She stole a sub.
That. That's
awesome.
pretty.
I like
pretty
it.
Cool.
Yeah.
But at this point, Emeralda starts to show how powerful she actually is.
Yeah, real controversial part of this book.
This is a very controversial moment in the book. I mean, this book I think is very, very intense. Not necessarily for kids.
No, go back and listen. To the David Michelinie interview if you want to get the context of this. This started with David Michelinie's interview, and it continued on into Herb Trimpe's interview, where Emeralda's basically trying to coerce Katanga into doing what she wants Katanga and his men to do.
And his men, exactly.
Yeah, and so when Michelinie first wrote this, because we put the question, I was kind of thinking we were heading toward, was there any problems with Lucasfilm? Did they say anything about the book you couldn't do? And he kind of indicated it was more internal within Marvel. So he said the way he originally wrote the scene was that Emeralda basically killed one of Katanga's men, and she was going to keep killing his men until he agreed to do what she wanted him to do. But that's not how it plays out in the book.
Well, I think someone, I forgot who it was, said that, well, a woman wouldn't do that.
Well, David Michelinie said that it was Herb Trimpe that said a woman wouldn't do that.
Right.
And so he said Herb Trimpe had mentioned that it should be one of Emeralda's men.
Which I think actually makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know that I disagree with that because, and again, that's one of those sort of happy accidents that happens between artist and writer when things are like, well, I want this. And no, in all fairness, we did ask Herb about it. He didn't recall it, but he said that David Michelinie has a much better memory than he does about these things. But I think, again, it's one of those happy accidents. I think this works better like this because she wouldn't want to get her hands dirty.
That's right.
She would have a minion do it. So she tells Rudolfo, you take him out, and it happens.
Persuade the captain.
Yeah, it happens off panel, which is. Captain. I think it's a little more sinister when things. Yeah, I mean,
look at the blood and look at the hand quivering. And,
yeah, we don't need to see it, but it is kind of dark for a comic.
But already it's very dark. Yeah. But I mean, think about imagine yourself in Katanga's position. She's not playing games.
No.
And the men are willing to do whatever she wants. So Katanga, being the smart guy that he is, he agrees. Okay, look, I don't want any more of my men dying. We'll figure a way out of this. So as of right now, I'll do what you ask.
Yep. And of course, Sombrero throttles Katanga. He tells him to shut up. He's trying to. They know they're taking Indy away. To do something to him, to kill him, and Katanga's jumps to his aid, and we've got Sombrero kind of putting Katanga in a chokehold, and they take great Harrison Ford likeness.
Yeah, that
to close out that page. Yeah, really good.
But I mean, we get the classic villain saying, "I've got something special in store for you," instead of killing him right away. The Austin Powers. I got a gun in my room. Boom, dead, done.
Take him out. Yeah.
No, they got to put him in an easily escapable situation.
Of course,
as always. But this is a pretty interesting one.
Yeah, we got a couple of great pages here. We got a lot of those vertical panels. Herb mentioned that when there's a lot of action that has to take place in a short amount of time, he likes to do those vertical panels that we have here. So we've got several scenes playing out all at the same time. We've got Indy trapped in sand. I'm guessing they knocked him out because he would have fought his way out of that. Yeah. So probably, off panel, they knocked him out, buried him in the sand, tide's coming in. You can feel this building to a cliffhanger as we go.
Meanwhile, Katanga is taking advantage of the pirates' overconfidence, and he escapes. He jumps overboard.
Yeah.
And as he does that, they're shooting into the water. But there's a little bit of an interesting. Here's another little controversial piece. As Katanga's punching these guys and about to jump over, the one guy yells, "The Black."
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Well, it's the 1930s too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Put yourself back into that time period. But I mean,
yeah, it's interesting. Michelinie trying to evoke the time period too.
Evoke the time period. That's right. So I mean, Katanga goes overboard, and Emeralda orders them just to keep firing in the water. She sees blood.
Yeah, he's been hit. Yeah, they hit him once they open up. Yeah, he's been hit, and then he stays under for a long time.
That's right. So
there's that cliffhanger.
We don't know the fate of Katanga.
We've only got one page left, Keith.
We got. Yeah,
we can't wrap this up. Possibly
can't wrap this up yet. We have to see what's going on with Indy. We go back there, and boom, that tide is starting to come in now.
Yep.
He can't push his way out. He's starting to sweat. He's starting to feel a little anxious about trying to get out of here. But, let's look on the bright side, Joe. Things couldn't get worse, could they?
Well, the tide's coming in, but so are...
Crab people.
They're not rock lobsters, but they are rock
crabs.
Great cliffhanger we've got here. Tide's coming in, Indy's buried up to his neck, and rock crabs are coming in to get him. And I love the teaser here for the next issue. Indy in a pinch. Simon in the deep. Marion in... Nah, that'd be telling. Be here in 30 days for the snappy and possibly very short conclusion to The Sea Butchers. That's great.
And luckily, you guys don't have to wait 30 days.
Nope.
You only have to wait 14.
Just a couple weeks. We'll be back with it. Hey, Keith, I'm in the mood to give something away. How about you?
I'm always in the mood to give something away. It's been a while since we gave something away, so why not? Let's do it.
You know what? As we're recording this, it's the day before Free Comic Book Day. So that kind of put me. Unfortunately, again this year, no Indiana Jones free comic book coming out. So, as you're listening to this, we hope you had we hope you had a great free comic book day. We hope you got a lot of free stuff. But as we mentioned, no indie books out there. But it kind of put me in the mind of the free comic book day from Dark Horse, where we did have an Indiana Jones story.
The only time.
Yep.
The only time.
Back in 2009.
If you guys never got your hands on this issue, this was a story that we adapted for the IndieCast radio drama. This was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Yearning, which is a pretty fun story. If you never got your hands on this, here is your opportunity now.
Yeah, this is a great book. It came out in 2009. It's got a lot of different stories in it, but one of them, as you mentioned, was a short Indiana Jones story, and we've got it for Free Comic Book Day. So we have an extra copy of it here. It's not in mint condition, but it's pretty good. So no complaints. It's free. What'd you pay to get in, right?
That's right.
And
That's right.
I don't know. You know what, Keith? I'm on such a match game kick right now. I've become re-obsessed with match game. Let's play some match game. Are you ready to match the stars?
Wow, 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 wow. I love match game. Let's do it. Let's do it.
That's great. Charles Nelson Riley.
Oh my God, Charles, stop now. That was my Brett Summers, and boy, was that bad.
Okay, Susan.
Sorry, guys.
That's a pretty good Brett Summers. Well, let's play a little match game. Let's do this. We're going to give this Free Comic Book Day from 2009, this Free Comic Book Day comic featuring Indiana Jones. We're going to give that away. All you have to do is fill in the blank, send it to us at thefurtheradventures@gmail.com. All of the correct answers that we get, we're going to put them in a fedora. We're going to have one random drawing of all correct entries, and we'll give this comic book away. What do you think, Keith?
I think that's a great idea.
Gene, I'll pick B.
B, okay, B. Who has
it?
You want B? No problem. B. Here we go. And the machine's not working. Hold on. Okay, there we go. It popped up. B. This is going to be from IndieCast 132, and here you go. When referring to the cover of issue number 1 of Further Adventures, Joe said, Indiana Jones has got a big blank.
That's all you have to do, Further fans. Fill in the blank. Send it to us at thefurtheradventures@gmail.com. All correct entries, we're going to put them into the fedora. We'll pick out one individual, and that person will get the Free Comic Book Day featuring Indiana Jones and the Temple of Yearning.
Okay, that's it for the day then.
Well, there you go, Joe. Our review of issue number 15, The Sea Butchers Part 1. And boy, I got to tell you, this is a pretty good comic. I had a lot of fun reading this again, and I really am a big fan of the artwork, the writing, the characters. It's really great seeing Jock and Katanga again. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens in Part 2.
It's a great adventure. We love it. David Michelinie, Herb Trimpe coming together great. Elliot Brown editing the book. Great stuff. Perfect cliffhanger, which is going to lead us into The Sea Butchers, Chapter 2, Death on dark waters the next time on The Further Adventures of Indiana Jones.